Today, we're diving into an incredible story from legal history. We're going to talk about how something as simple as chocolate, yeah, chocolate, completely changed a core principle of contract law. It sounds pretty wild, right? Well, it's absolutely true. So, let me just ask you this. Can three chocolate wrappers actually be worth something? I mean, really think about it. You buy a candy bar, you eat it, and what are you left with? Basically trash. So, how could that trash possibly be considered a legal part of a payment? It's a truly bizarre question, but it's the puzzle at the very heart of this story. So, let's unwrap this thing. And yes, that pun is totally intended. We're going to peel back the layers on a case that seems so small on the surface, but trust me, its implications are massive, and they affect the kinds of deals we all make every single day. All right, so let's set the scene. Our journey takes us back to 1950s Britain. This is the post-war era, a time of rebuilding, new energy, and, of course, new marketing ideas. And one of the biggest companies around, Nestle, comes up with what they think is just a brilliant promotion. Here's the deal they offered, and it was pretty simple. Nestle would sell you a copy of a hit pop song called Rockin' Shoes. To get it, all you had to do was send them a small amount of money, 1 shilling and 6 pence, and, this is the crucial part, 3 of their milk chocolate bar wrappers. Seems like a pretty clever way to sell more chocolate, doesn't it? I mean, it's just a simple sales gimmick, right? What could possibly be the problem with that? Well, this little gimmick was going to spark a massive legal battle that would go all the way to the UK's highest court. You see, the problem wasn't the chocolate, and it wasn't even the record itself. The problem was all about copyright. Specifically, it was about how much money the owner of the song was supposed to get paid for every single copy that Nestle sold. And this sets up a classic showdown. In one corner, you've got Chappelle and Company, the music publisher that owned the copyright for Rocking Shoes. And in the other corner, you have the corporate giant Nestle, the company running the whole promotion. Now, here's the legal angle. Under the law at the time, Chappell was entitled to a royalty, which is basically a percentage of the ordinary retail selling price of the record. They looked at Nestle's deal and basically said, hey, wait a minute, you're not paying us what you owe us. And so they sued. The entire case boiled down to the definition of one single word, price. Chappell's argument was simple. The price is the money, that 1 shilling and 6 pence. The wrappers, they said, are worthless trash, completely irrelevant. But Nestle fired back, arguing, no, the price is the money plus the 3 wrappers. They are a vital part of the deal. So to understand how the court was supposed to decide this, we need to take a quick step back and look at what actually makes a deal a deal. What's the secret ingredient that turns a simple promise into something a court will actually enforce? Well, that secret ingredient has a legal name, consideration. It sounds a bit formal, but all it really means is the thing of value that each side gives to the other. It could be money, an object, a service. It's basically the price you pay for the other person's promise. And this is absolutely critical. Without consideration flowing in both directions, you do not have a legally binding contract. All you have is a one-sided promise that a court won't enforce. You can think of it as the legal skin in the game for both sides. So, at its most basic, a contract needs just 3 things: an offer, an acceptance of that offer, and consideration from both sides. Offer, acceptance, consideration. Now, Nestle's deal clearly had an offer and acceptance. The entire legal fight was about that third piece of the puzzle. Which brings us right back to our main question. Could these seemingly worthless pieces of paper, these wrappers, legally be considered a thing of value in the deal? Everything hinged on the answer to this question. So this fight over chocolate wrappers climbed all the way to the top, to the House of Lords, which was the highest court in the UK. And their decision would become the stuff of legend in law schools all over the world. And listen to this reasoning from one of the judges, Lord Somerville. He says essentially, you're arguing that the wrappers are worthless to Nestle once they get them. Who cares? A person can ask for whatever they want in a deal. It's such a simple but incredibly powerful point. And with that powerful logic, the court made its final ruling. Yes, the chocolate wrappers were officially part of the consideration. They were legally part of the price paid for the record. The court's reasoning was just brilliant. The wrappers had value simply because Nestle said they did by asking for them. Getting those wrappers in the mail proved that people were buying their chocolate, which was a direct commercial benefit. The simple act of asking for them is what gave them legal value. And this case perfectly illustrates what we now call the Peppercorn Principle. It says that for a contract to be valid, consideration must be sufficient, meaning it has to be real and tangible, not just an illusion. But, and this is the crucial part, it does not need to be adequate. The court doesn't care if it's a fair price or an equal exchange of value. So, okay, a fun story about old school marketing, but why are we still talking about it today? Well, because this principle is the bedrock of modern commerce in ways you might not even realize. If you remember just one thing from all this, let it be this. The court's job isn't to decide if you made a good deal. Its only job is to figure out if you made a deal in the first place. They are not there to save you from a bad bargain. And once you know what to look for, you see this principle everywhere. When you hear about a company being sold for a symbolic $1, that dollar is the peppercorn. Every time you click I agree on software terms and conditions, your agreement is the peppercorn. Even that old phrase, peppercorn rent for a long-term lease, it's all the same idea, a token of value to make the deal legally binding. Ultimately, what this is all about is freedom. It protects our freedom to contract, the freedom for individuals and companies to decide for themselves what is valuable and to make whatever bargains they want, no matter how unusual they might seem to an outsider. The court respects your right to make your own deal. And that leaves us with one final powerful thought. This principle gives us incredible freedom, but it also places a huge responsibility right on our shoulders. If the courts won't step in to judge the fairness of your deal, it means the duty to read the fine print, to understand the terms, and to make a good bargain rests entirely on you.